This is Personal Injury Court.
This is the matter of Newman versus Levy. Miss Newman, it's my understanding that you're suing Mr. Levy for injuries to your ear that you sustained while renting an apartment from Mr. Levy. You're asking this court to award you $15,000 for your medical expenses and $175,000 for pain and suffering for a total award of $190,000. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Levy, you believe this is not your fault because you did everything you were supposed to do and you should not be held responsible for her injuries. Is that true?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, let's get into the legal sauce. Now, how did you come to rent this apartment?
So I've been living there 2 years, and
Okay.
the first year, I'll be honest, it was really wonderful. It's a great neighborhood. I love my neighbors, and it's walking distance to the school. I'm a kindergarten teacher, and I can ride my bike there, saves me gas money. And as somebody on a really tight budget, that's incredibly important. I mean, rent is affordable, so...
Up until this day, you're pretty happy with your apartment?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Levy, was she a pretty good tenant?
She was, but she wasn't very communicative. I've owned this apartment now for about 10 years. In fact, I helped build it. I have another one that's about 30 years old. And I'll tell you, I provide my tenants with a good living experience. I provide them security through contracts, I provide them a beautiful landscape, and I provide them pest control.
Is this your spot here?
That's correct.
It looks like a nice place.
Indeed it is, and we get excellent ratings on all of the internet sites. I'm very proud to be the landlord there.
So, Ms. Newman, you're having a good time being at this apartment up until this day. What happened?
So I started noticing cockroaches here and there. And at first it was just one or two, and then they multiplied. I mean, they were everywhere. Like, it was disgusting. And I'm sorry if I'm super loud, but my hearing is a little gone.
This is a video you submitted to the court. You shot this on your phone?
I did, yes, Your Honor.
And this is in your apartment?
That's in my apartment. And that's just in the frame of, that's just in like this little tiny area of my apartment too.
Mr. Levy, I thought for a moment that Miss Newman was mistaken. Maybe these are those palmetto bugs that people try to tell me aren't roaches. Those are roaches.
Indeed they are. We've never had any complaints from any other tenants about roaches in our property.
Well, how did you get hurt?
The morning that it happened, I had been swimming. I like to swim in the mornings. And I went to school, worked all day. I was exhausted. And I went home to get my necessities papers, and I was so tired I fell asleep on my couch.
Okay.
And when I woke up, I felt something in my ear. And I'll be honest, at first I thought it was just water trapped on my ear canal. It's not uncommon to have water trapped in your ear canal for 24 to 48 hours after you go swimming.
Yes, ma'am.
I've been swimming for a long time, so I knew that. And then 48 hours later, I realized this was not just water. There was a cockroach in my ear canal, and I could feel every leg, I could feel every antenna, I could feel everything. It was literally inside my head, making its home in my ear canal, burrowing its way inside my head.
How did you know that there was a cockroach in your ear?
Because I could feel its little legs. You can feel it. You can feel it stuck in your, and forgive me for, you can feel it stuck in your earwax. It's really gross. And I had to go.
Took 2 days.
I had to go. I'm not done. I'm not finished.
For her
I had to go to the ER, and they put a video in my ear.
You submitted that video to the court?
Yes, sir, I did. Yes, Your Honor.
Let's take a look at it. They're looking in your ear. All right. Okay. Let me get this clear. So you had a cockroach in your ear?
In my ear, and it would have gone further if I hadn't taken action when I knew that it was a bug in my ear.
So that's what was crawling around. You felt the legs and things?
I couldn't. You could see the little hairs on the legs too, and I could feel them sticking to the wax in my ear. It was
cockroaches
disgusting.
do something to me. Okay.
It's like a horror movie.
So they pulled it out of your ear?
They did, Your Honor, and it was very delicate surgery. And they told me that now I have a perforated eardrum, which is a hole in my ear because this man didn't do anything about it.
Now, Mr. Levy, did you exterminate this place on a regular basis?
Yes, we did, Your Honor. In fact, as required in the lease, we exterminated every 6 months by having an outside contractor come in and do it professionally. And I have copies of the reports for you.
All right, Sheriff Matt, will you retrieve those reports from Mr. Levy?
And also the invoices.
Well, I'm looking at your invoice number 36571. It's billed to you and it's dated February 22nd.
That's
It says treatment, Target Pest, full service, and then it says Mark Levy. Is that your signature there?
Yes, it is.
So you had a professional exterminator in August.
Absolutely.
Can I just say something?
Yes.
It had actually been 8 months since an exterminator had been to the building, and in my contract, every 6 months one is supposed to come out. So he had ample time to find another one. Honestly, I think he was being
So he was late.
being a cheapskate. Yes, sir. He was late.
Indeed,
He was
Your
very
Honor,
late.
we were informed by our contractor that he was going to cancel the contract. It took me a while to find somebody else, but as soon as I got notice that there was a roach infestation,
You were on it.
I was on it, and I took care of it myself.
The fact is, it had been 8 months, and my contract is supposed to be every 6 months an exterminator comes out. And I emailed him, I called him, I texted him, I sent him the picture that you saw of all those roaches, and I got no response.
You emailed and texted him.
I did, and I got nothing until I sent him a formal complaint letter. But honestly, I don't think I should have even had to do that if it had been 8 months. He should have had ample time to find someone else to prevent this from even happening. I have the messages with me if you'd like to see them, Your Honor.
You brought them with you. Sheriff
Your
Matt,
Honor.
if you get the messages. Thank you, sir. You're the best. All right. There's a text message here, from June 22nd.
She alleges she sent them.
It says, Mr. Levy, I have nasty bugs in my apartment. When's the exterminator coming? Well,
There's no evidence that anything was sent or even that I received it.
Mr. Levy, then there's a second one, June 24th, that's in caps, which means they're screaming at you. Mr. Levy, I haven't heard from you. It's nasty. And then finally, there's a picture of the roaches attached. She's screaming for your attention.
Your Honor, note that there's still no address on
And note that
text
there's still
Did
no
you get
response
these text
either.
messages?
I never got the text
Still
messages.
no response.
The first notice I got was the letter that she sent me. Once I got that letter, that triggered my entrance into her apartment. I went to the hardware store. I bought some roach killer. I went up to that apartment myself in order to see what was going on. And I have to tell you, it was appalling in that apartment. No matter how
Don't
many
wanna hear
chemicals
this.
you put around, it's not going to account for the dirty clothes that are piled up and for the dirty dishes that are around.
Now, you
Look
took
at
some
that.
pictures.
It looks, exactly. It
I'm a
looks to me
teacher.
like
I
an
have to be
engraved
organized and
invitation
orderly.
to a
That's-
roach.
Miss
That's not
Newman,
my
is this
apartment.
your apartment?
Yes, Your Honor, it is my apartment,
course
but
it's
I will tell you that when this first started happening, I wanted to see if I could find where the roaches were coming from myself. So I did take apart a few things, but when I realized they were everywhere, I honestly couldn't even move around without touching them. So I had to take what few things I could and get out.
Was it nasty, Mr. Levy?
It was nasty. And she has an agreement with us that she's supposed to keep the place clean to avoid roaches.
Had you gotten these text messages, would you have come early?
Absolutely.
So you blame her.
I do. No other adjoining apartments reported this, only her apartment.
So you didn't have any complaints from any other residents
Absolutely
about
not.
roaches?
Absolutely not.
Now, Miss Newman, if the roaches are focused on your place, isn't there a reason for that?
Honestly, Your Honor, I don't believe so. I'm not the kind of person, I don't leave open containers with which to attract roaches with.
And understand this, a lease is two ways. You have responsibilities, but you have responsibilities also. You got to keep your place clean. Did you understand that?
Can you say that again?
I can say it louder. Turn your head this way.
Oh,
What?
please.
You must keep your place clean because the lease requires it. It didn't seem like you did.
Your Honor, this is a one-time thing for me. I maintain my life very well. I'm a teacher. I have to. I'm organized. I'm orderly.
Oh,
You can go to the
please.
school
Roaches love
yourself.
teachers, too.
You can go
I
to
mean,
the
come on.
I'm a
This
very
is
clean
not
person.
how an
It's
adult
none of your
lives.
business how I maintain my
is-
Order in this court. Miss Newman, I know this is heavy for you. You're asking this court to give you $15,000 for your past medicals.
Yes, Your Honor.
You mentioned that the ER doc took this roach out of your ear. This court has consulted Dr. Neelam Vaughn. She's an ER doc who's done this many times. She's going to tell us about how you do this and what's the impact. So, Sheriff Matt, will you get Dr. Vaughn?
Yes, Your Honor.
Hello, Dr. Vaughn.
Hello.
This is kind of everybody's nightmare. How does this happen? How do you get a cockroach in your ear?
It's not really that uncommon. Bugs, we get complaints of this 3 to 4 times a month, sometimes more.
3 to 4 times a month?
Sometimes more. There's different bugs that can end up in there, spiders that make webs, but in this case, of course, we're talking about a cockroach, and cockroaches love a warm, moist environment, and so the bug travels in, latches its legs in, and kind of cozies in your eardrum.
And do they die there? Do they lay eggs? What do they do?
All of the above, and most of the time they'll stay alive, and that's, obviously really creepy.
So the ER doc took this picture. How do you get that thing out of there?
Well, you usually put some viscous lidocaine or mineral oil or something with the hopes that it dies, and kind of float it, and then you go in with alligator forceps, and you carefully try to grab it. They did that, and they were able to hopefully take it out. Well, he's not wanting to go out. He likes his home, and they're able to take it out, and it looks pretty successful here.
You have found whole roaches in people's ears?
I have. It's really not that uncommon.
Miss Newman says she's suffering some hearing loss. What kind of damage does a bug like this do to someone's ear?
Well, it depends. It can have some permanent hearing loss, or sometimes you can get your hearing back.
Well, what part of the ear is damaged?
Well, you have the outer ear, your ear canal, where it's the middle ear, and then you have your eardrum, that's that round area right there, and then the bones of your ear, and then the cochlea, which is kind of your hearing organ.
Okay.
So sound comes in from the outside through the middle ear to the eardrum, and if it's perforated, aka if there's a hole in it, you can't really get sound through effectively.
So would the bug put a hole in your eardrum?
It can. It can make a little hole, or it can kind of completely obliterate it.
Now, does that eardrum heal?
It's variable. Sometimes we hope that it heals, but it's not uncommon for it to not heal either.
If it doesn't heal, what happens to your hearing ability?
It's diminished.
Permanently?
It can be. It's possible.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you.
You are released. Thank you. So, Ms. Newman,
Yes, Your Honor.
you've submitted $15,000 in medical bills to this court. Having to pay that, what's that done to you?
I feel so stressed out all the time. I go to school, and I know I'm gonna have to take on extra classes now. I'm gonna have to substitute a lot more. I'm gonna have to tutor on the weekends. But the fact is, the kids think I'm a freak. I teach kindergarten.
You have to wear that to class?
I do. I have to wear this all the time. I can't hear kids in the back of the classroom. I'm a kindergarten teacher. It was already hard to deal with them when I never had this, and now
Home sanitation
it's affected
courses?
my entire ability.
I mean,
It's
don't you
affected
get
my
the
entire
idea that
ability
roaches
to interact with my
love
students.
rubbish?
Mr. Levy, direct your comments to me. I can't hear if you're talking to him. So, Ms. Newman, how are you able to afford this on a teacher's salary?
But the fact is, I can't. I'm working twice as many hours as I used to. I don't have my weekends. I don't have time off. I can't see my family because of how much I'm working. And on top of that, we're talking about I'm more susceptible to ear infections. I may never be able to swim again. I may have tinnitus for the rest of my life, which is like really intense ear ringing. I don't even know if a hearing aid is going to be an option for me, and if so, how much is that going to cost? I don't have my peripheral vision right now, so I'm having to sort of do this right here. And the kids think I'm crazy. I feel like some sort of monster around them, and I hate that. I love kids. That's all I ever wanted to do.
Folks, I think I've heard enough. I'm ready to render my decision. In every personal injury case, the plaintiff, you, Ms. Newman, you have to prove 3 things. You've got to prove that Mr. Levy was wrong, that he did something wrong, and that his wrong act caused your injuries. You've shown this court today that this was almost a perfect place until the roaches came, that he ignored your complaints, and then he tried to do a quick fix. You ended up having a roach go in your ear and affect your hearing in a permanent way. Mr. Levy, you believe that the roaches came because she invited them from being so nasty in her apartment, and that this is her fault. Plus, you went on your own to try to address the problem. For an owner to be responsible in a premises liability case, you have to have notice of a problem, you sent the text messages, and then you must address it reasonably. The law does not require an owner to ensure your safety. The law requires an owner to act reasonably. Here, the problem for me is that you had a professional exterminator before this, and this time you tried to do it yourself. So, Ms. Newman, I believe that you have proven that Mr. Levy is wrong and that his wrong caused your hearing loss and injury. In that regard, I find in your favor and will award you $15,000 for your past medicals and $175,000 for your pain and suffering for a total award of $190,000. I find in your favor. That's my final award, and this matter is adjourned. Miss Halloway, it's my understanding that you and your dog, Prince, sustained injuries while you were at Miss Teems' doggy spa. You're asking this court to award you $35,000 for past medical expenses, $10,000 for your future medical expenses, $4,000 for your dog Prince's medical expenses, $150,000 for pain and suffering, for a total award of $199,000. Is that true?
Absolutely, Your Honor.
And Miss Teems, you believe if Miss Holloway was paying attention, she would have never fallen at your spa if she was doing what she was supposed to do, and her dog would not have been injured. True?
That is totally correct.
Well, let's get into the legal sauce. How did you come to the doggy spa this day?
I went to the dog spa. I dropped Prince off in the morning. I had some errands to run, and so he loves to go to the dog spa, and only the best for my little Prince. Isn't he precious? He really is precious. Well,
almost as cute as my Morkie.
Oh. And then I was gonna come back later in the afternoon.
So, Miss Teems, tell me about your dog spa. What happens there?
Well, I opened Teems Dog Spa about 4 years ago because I love dogs, and what better way to make a living than work with animals since you love them. I've had them since I was a child. Our motto at Teems is Teems Dog Spa because your dog is part of our team. But
that's a good little hook. What kind of services do you offer?
We are a high-end spa. We offer doggy massages. We offer a puppy nail salon.
You actually have someone who massages the dog?
Yes, sir. We have hairdos and shampoos, and we pamper your pets. There's a big demand for our services, and you know, people will pay a lot of money for their fur babies, but
so these high-end spas are big business.
Yes, but honestly, to me,
but you need to take care of the premises, Your Honor.
Your Honor, to me, it is more about the animals. We love animals at Teems. Everyone there.
Your Honor.
You want the animals to have a good experience, right?
Yes, and seeing their owners' faces too. When they come out of the spa and they pick up their dogs, there's nothing like seeing how they're clean, they're fresh. You can tell that they love them.
It's a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing.
So, Ms. Halloway, tell me how this happened.
Your Honor, I came back after running my errands, and I came to pick up Prince, and he did look very sweet, and he smelled wonderful too. But I went to pay, and then that little nitwit employee at the front desk.
I hire only the best. I'm sorry.
Please,
Lady,
you should have helped me.
Address me, and let's
Your
not
Honor,
call folks
sorry.
names, okay?
I'm so
'Cause
sorry,
we are
Your
in the
Honor,
court
but
of
this
law.
has been a horrible experience.
Yes, ma'am. I know
for
you've
us.
been through a lot.
Look at poor Prince. Look at that broken leg.
So what happened?
Well, Your Honor, I paid, and then that girl, I won't call her a nitwit, told me
Your Honor.
to walk down the hall, that because of all the remodeling going on at the spa, she said that there was a different exit. So she said, go down the hall, make a right, and that the exit door was a few feet past that.
Okay.
So I had little Prince, my precious baby, in my arms.
Like that? Like you're holding Prince now?
Exactly like that, Your Honor. And so I went down the hall, I made the right, and that's when it happened. I slipped on dog urine. My feet flew out from under me.
I'm sorry.
It was awful.
Urine.
Your Honor, I was holding Prince on the right, so I tried to swerve to my left. So I put my hand out to break my fall, and that's when I heard the pop. My arm broke. I broke my arm in two places.
You heard it snap.
Your Honor, it was terrible. It was all mangled and twisted.
What happens to Prince?
I rolled on top of Prince and I broke his little leg. And I got to tell you, it was horrible.
Well, our pets, our dogs, I'm
No,
a dog guy,
Your
they're our
Honor,
children.
I broke his leg by falling on him because I slipped on urine.
There
And
was
then-
no urine.
And
There
then
was
when I
none.
looked, excuse me.
You are just
and then
trying
when
to
I
get
looked
everyone
down,
Address me,
sympathy.
ladies, please.
when I looked down at my arm, Your Honor, Prince came over and he was licking me, and he limped over to me with his broken leg.
So he's got a broken leg and he
and
comes
he
to take
came
care of
over
Mama.
and he was licking me, and then
Dogs
I
are
saw
great.
my arm, and it just looked horrible. It was all twisted and mangled, and I fainted. I passed out dead away in pee.
There was no pee.
How do you know there was no pee, Miss Teems?
This is totally not our fault. We run a high-end dog spa, as I've explained.
Well, dogs pee on the floor at dog spas, right?
Exactly, and clients know that dogs pee on the floor at dog spas, but we have procedures in place. We have stations throughout the spa. We have procedures that everyone is taught. If there's an accident, we clean it up immediately.
Okay.
And we also have wee-wee pads that we put on our dogs that are known to
Your
piddle,
Honor, there was
because
pee.
we want to prevent
There was
accidents
pee
like
on the
this.
floor. I didn't pee.
Miss Holloway, same rules have to apply.
I know,
can't
Your
hear.
Honor, but
well,
she's
you're
not
doing it
saying-
with. You are doing
She
it with
is-
ladies. You know I already look mean. I don't want to be mean. You
Oh.
got to address me.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, thank you. Okay, now how does pee get cleaned up? Do you have some employee that's devoted
Yes.
to it? How do you do it?
We have stations throughout. We have rags. We have bins to put everything in. Then we take that out because we really don't want any urine smells in the salon. One, it'll encourage dogs to pee again.
Yes,
but
ma'am.
two, it's just unacceptable for a high-end salon. And the whole point is that if Miss Holloway had been paying attention, you see how she carries her dog everywhere.
Whether
Isn't
I
that
was
the way
paying
you're supposed to
attention or
carry
not,
your dog?
I
No.
slipped on
No.
Miss
pee.
Holloway, we
But,
got to have
Your
rules
Honor,
here.
there was a big puddle of pee.
I'm louder. We got to have rules here, and I can get louder. Miss Holloway, you got to talk to me. I know this is important to you. But if you scream at Miss Teems, I'm trying to hear what she has to say. I can't get the
But
right
she's not
result.
telling you
You're
the
talking
truth.
while I'm
I am
talking.
telling the
Miss
truth.
Teems, order in this court. So, you've got these stations that are designed to allow you to clean the spots.
Correct.
Okay.
This is totally not our fault. When we release our dogs after they've been at the salon, they're always on a leash. One of the reasons I think this happened is she was carrying him with his leash dragging behind, and she probably got tangled in that. Who knows? But it's not our fault that she fell.
So do you have doubts as to whether she slipped in some dog urine?
Yes, I do. I
You think
really
she
do.
tripped over her own leash?
I think there are many reasons. She
I
was wearing
did not
high
trip
heels.
over a leash.
She was
This is
carrying her dog.
ridiculous.
I want to understand how this
But
happened.
there
Miss
was
Holloway,
a huge puddle of pee.
It was-
Miss Holloway, you
that
submitted.
could have been print.
Ladies, we are going to wrestle all day if you do this. We're going to wrestle all day.
I'm sorry,
You
Your
must talk to me. Miss Holloway, you submitted a diagram to this court. We put it up on the monitor here. I want you to go over and explain how this happened.
Certainly, Your Honor. I'd be more than happy to. Excuse me, young man. Could you please hold my baby? Sure. You got to watch his leg now.
do.
It's all broken.
She is trying to get your
No,
sympathy
well,
vote.
please be careful. Thank you so much. What a nice young man. This is the front entrance of the spa. So I came in the front entrance. This is where all the little doggies are. And so I walked in. This is the desk. I got my little baby, and he looked so cute. So we walked. As soon as I got to the corner, I made the right, and that is when my feet flew out from under me. I slipped on a huge puddle of dog
There
pee.
was no urine
Oh, I
there.
slipped on it.
If there was
Your
urine,
Honor,
it was
when
because
I
he
came-
peed. He was upset she fell on him.
Now, Miss Holloway, you submitted the x-ray of Prince's leg.
Yes.
So this is Prince's leg here. That's a nasty break.
Yes, it is.
Because she fell on him.
Well, because I slipped on pee.
No, because you weren't paying
Talk
attention.
to me, lady.
Please,
Talk to
that
me.
spot, Your Honor, that spot is a dangerous spot.
You can go back to the podium, Miss Holloway.
Thank you, Your Honor. Look at that break.
She
it's
is
awful.
She is playing
So,
on
Miss
your
Teems,
sympathy.
Both
brings a
Prince
dog
and
in-
Miss Holloway had pretty bad breaks. That's not supposed to happen, right?
Correct.
You believe she tripped on her own leash or something other than dog urine?
Yes.
What do you expect a dog owner to do when they have their dog in their hands at your spa? What are they supposed to do?
First of all, I do not expect to have them in their hands.
Now, Miss Holloway, Miss Teems has a point here. It seems to me, just thinking right at this moment,
Yes, Your
that
Honor.
if Prince had been on a leash, then maybe you would have seen the puddle.
No, I would not.
Yes, exactly.
Tell me why.
I was carrying him because I didn't want him to get dirty yet.
He would not have gotten dirty in our
And that corner has been
shop.
a problem in the past. My friend, Sean, takes his pug to the dog spa every week.
Okay.
I have a sworn statement from Sean.
Yes, ma'am, you have submitted that to the court. And this is a statement under oath, so it has legal impact. It reads, I take my dog Ronnie to the spa for his treatments. Since we have used the new exit, Ronnie has tried to lift his leg at the last corner every time. I have to tug on his leash to get him to wait till we are outside. I don't know what is so attractive about that corner, but it calls to him like a fire hydrant. I'm not surprised that London fell in a puddle of dog pee at that exact spot. You see that, Miss Teems?
He has never told me that. And you know what? If I had known that we could have brought affidavits, I would have been able to bring 20 affidavits saying how clean our spa is. We run a very clean salon.
Let me give you a legal lesson about that. Anytime you intend to go to court, bring everything that you can that you think will help you, because the judge will decide what the judge is going to consider. You don't want to be in this situation, but you're here today and I've got to base my decision on what you put before me. Now, Miss Holloway, tell me about your injuries. How have you been?
Your Honor, it's been pretty bad. It's been very rough. I had 2 broken bones in my forearm. I have a plate and some screws. Little Prince has got a pretty bad break. Look at my arm. I know I look really good for my age, but I am an elderly woman, and this is going to ruin my life. You know what happens when older people break their limbs.
She talks about this ruining her life. This could ruin my business over something that is not my fault.
I understand how you see it, that she fell on her own dog.
When it happened, we immediately called 911. We got care for her. We got care for Prince. And I even took one of the groomers and put them in the ambulance because I knew with all the rules that I wouldn't be able to find out what was happening.
My
I was
goodness.
concerned, and
Yes,
I
ma'am.
called that groomer
I can
all
see
through
your
the
face
day.
that you're concerned.
But,
You know,
Your Honor,
Can you see that, Miss Holloway, that she's concerned about you and your dog?
yes, but if she would just take responsibility, Your Honor.
But it's
I
not
did
my
not
fault.
slip on a leash.
It really isn't.
I slipped into a big puddle of dog
That
urine.
she should have
It was
seen if there
large.
was a puddle. That's
Ladies.
how it can't.
No, I'm
Ladies.
sorry. It was negligent.
Ladies,
It was not. Sorry.
Ladies, I think I've heard enough. I'm ready to render my decision. In every personal injury case, the plaintiff, you, Miss Holloway, have to prove 3 things. You've got to prove that Miss Teems or her employees were wrong, that they did something wrong, and that wrong caused yours and Prince's injuries. You are asking this court to award you $199,000. This is obviously a huge burden for you. You don't believe this is your fault because you think they should have cleaned up the urine that you fell in.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Teems, you believe that you all had systems in place where there should not have been urine there. You actually have doubts as to why Ms. Holloway fell.
Correct.
You believe had she had her dog on the leash and on the floor, like most people should, according to you, that this never would have happened because she wouldn't have tripped over her own leash. The realities here, though, dogs pee, this is a dog spa, you gotta clean it up. When you're walking around, you gotta pay attention. There's a whole lot of responsibility to go around. The law, though, in a premises liability case like this, that is, someone is hurt on someone else's premises, it focuses on what the owner knew. One of the most important pieces of evidence is the affidavit that stated that Ronnie, the dog, came around the corner and attempted to urinate in this very spot. That is what creates notice for you, Miss Teems. What it indicated to me as I evaluate the evidence is that dogs have been peeing on this spot. That's why Ronnie stopped. And if dogs are peeing on this spot, it's because they smell the urine. And if the urine smell is there, that means you probably did not clean it properly. Now, I know that litigation can be a dog-eat-dog experience, okay? But it is very simple. If you don't clean it properly and a dog pees there, Miss Halloway walks around the corner and slips, she and her dog are injured, it is your fault. That's how I fine for a total award of $199,000 for you. That is my final verdict, and this matter is adjourned. Mr. James, it's my understanding you're suing Miss Sutton for injuries that you sustained while you were at a music festival that Miss Sutton put on. You're asking this court to award you $10,000 for your past medical expenses, $5,000 for future medical expenses, $20,000 for lost wages, and $250,000 for pain and suffering, for a total award of $285,000. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Miss Sutton, your response to this is very simple. If he had left the music festival when everybody else did, he never would have been hurt, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, let's get into the legal sauce. What brings you to a music festival?
I'd recently won a contest via the radio that granted me a ticket along with a backstage pass.
Okay.
For a meet and greet VIP after the concert had ended. So I drove separately to meet up with my friends and stayed about an hour and a half after the concert before I was preparing to leave.
Okay. Now, Miss Sutton, you put on music festivals.
Yes.
Tell me about them.
Sure. I've been in the music and entertainment industry for over 20 years. We do loads of outdoor festivals. They're always sold out. They're very popular. As a matter of fact, all the radio stations love them. And
all
we
kinds of
participate
music?
with them. Absolutely, all kinds of music. I oversee and I manage all of the logistics of the venue, the artists, the parking, and all the surrounding public areas.
So from the piano to the portable toilets, you manage it?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you're getting all kinds of people, but pretty much some of the things are the same. People have to use the bathroom, right, at a festival?
Absolutely, which we provide as a courtesy to our attendees.
Okay, you ever had a problem with your portable toilets before?
Never.
So, Mr. James, tell me how this happened.
Well, Your Honor, I was staying after the concert about an hour and a half. As anyone else would, he was granted a backstage pass. I was hanging out with the band, enjoying myself. Had a few drinks, yes, had something to eat. So as I was preparing to make the long ride home, I elected to use the restroom and a portable toilet that was placed right near the parking lot. As I entered the portable toilet and attended to my business, I was sitting on the toilet when all of a sudden I heard a truck fire up.
Okay.
And I'd noticed
you heard the
truck.
engine of the truck?
Yes, sir, that is correct, Your Honor.
Okay.
Didn't think anything of it at the time. Figured they were leaving the premises, doing their job. Noticed it getting closer before I noticed a loud thud.
Okay.
Immediately knew it was occurring. Dreaded the situation as I saw it happening before my eyes. The portable toilet topped backwards, slamming into the ground. I immediately snapped my neck, whipping my head into the ground, which caused the concussion. I was covered in not only human waste, but also this blue chemical from the portable toilet. Head to toe, in my mouth, in my nose. It was mortifying. If you can only imagine, throughout the entire days of this festival, the entire night, you gotta think I was one of the last ones there with my backstage pass. The
toilet was full.
The amount of human traffic that had entered into that toilet before I entered in it. It makes me want to throw up just to imagine, as you can see. Constant human traffic in and out of there before I'd entered.
That's a lot of folks.
That's correct.
And a lot of use.
That's correct.
I have to admit this. There have been times I've been in one of those portable toilets and I see that stuff down there and I say, what if you fell in there? I guess it's no longer hypothetical. This stuff was all over you.
This will be the last time I ever use a portable toilet in my life, Your Honor.
So, Miss Sutton, obviously you want folks to use the portable toilet.
Yes, of course.
How do you protect against somebody pushing it over and knocking it over?
Well, we've never had that incident, and as you can see, they're situated on a level ground.
Okay.
I wasn't advised of the situation until about a half hour after it occurred, although it's very unfortunate that this happened to him, and we're extremely sorry, but we didn't do it.
Well, but this isn't his fault. You're not saying this is his fault. He was simply trying to make a deposit, right?
But was
Sounds
he?
like she is, Your
But
Honor.
was he? He was there long after that concert and the festival had ended.
So he talked about being there with the band. Why'd you stay so late?
No one told me I was supposed to leave the premises, Your Honor. I had no one warning me of any time I needed to leave. I had no one warning me that these portable toilets were in danger of using. So to my knowledge, they were there for the use of the customers, as they always were the entire day.
Your
Well,
Honor,
doesn't most of the people leaving kind of give you a clue it's time to go?
I was enjoying myself.
Your Honor,
It's not every day you win a contest like this, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
I was using my right
However,
with this VIP backstage pass.
Your Honor, I've submitted
ma'am.
as an exhibit our concert schedule. It's our official schedule showing that the concert ended at midnight.
Yes, ma'am. Let's take a look
And
at it
this
here.
gentleman here, this incident took place at 2 a.m.
This is the concert call sheet, so people try to stay on schedule with this, right?
Yes,
So 11
absolutely.
p.m. is final set, and then 12 a.m., that is midnight.
Yes.
Wrap, strike venue. Is that when folks are supposed to leave?
Well, that's about when the meet and greet is, 15 minutes max. Those artists are tired. They played all night long. They do a quick picture of the handful of people that had the backstage pass, and they are out of there on their road. And by 2 o'clock, all my people are gone.
It was not 2 hours after the concert had ended. It was an hour and a half max, just so we're clear.
You do acknowledge, though, that you stayed quite a bit after midnight, right?
Not the time frame that she is exhibiting here. That is incorrect. No, that's not true. She's
Well,
wrong.
what do you remember? How long did you stay?
It was an hour and a half max, Your Honor.
Okay, so
and like
that-
I said, no
that
one
takes
had
you
told
to
me I needed leave the
1:30, right?
premises. Correct.
Okay. Now, is it that weird that people stay an hour and a half, Miss Sutton?
Oh, absolutely, especially because our parking lot was 95% empty.
Well, 95% means that.
The other 5% was probably my employees and
Okay.
maybe him and his friends.
So tell me about your injuries.
Yes, Your Honor. On impact, I suffered whiplash and a severe concussion from my head smacking the ground. Along with being covered with this blue chemical, I was covered in human excrement, which gave me hepatitis A.
So some of this stuff got in your mouth and your eyes?
That
and
is, I
things?
was head to toe, Your Honor. Head to toe, completely covered, and I could not avoid hepatitis A, which has caused my skin and my eyes to turn yellow.
Yeah, your medical records that you submitted show that you were jaundiced and had quite an infection.
That's correct, Your Honor. I've been in severe pain since the incident. Aside from the neck brace, the hepatitis A has caused severe liver pain. My eyes, like I said, have been burnt yellow. My urine has turned the color of coffee, Your Honor.
Well, your medical records indicate that your internal organs were definitely affected.
That's correct.
So it sounds like, though, the hepatitis is worse than the whiplash.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Miss Sutton, a portable toilet getting knocked over, that is an odd event for one of your concerts, right?
Correct. But nonetheless, this is not our fault. He should not have been there at this time.
It's not your fault. That's your excuse? That is your excuse.
We
Talk
didn't
to
knock
me,
it over.
folks.
We have no idea who did it.
Well, it happened at your event.
Sure.
In one of your portable toilets. He clearly didn't do anything to knock it over.
I don't know
Your Honor,
who he
she
was
needs to take
involved-
responsibility for this, for
We have-
everything that's occurred to me.
We have parking attendants directing traffic 45 minutes after the concert ended. And as I stated, that parking lot was 95% empty when this happened.
Your Honor, I received no verbal, no sign warning that these portable toilets were in any danger of using.
Because they weren't.
If I had, I would not have used them.
You're asking this court to award you $250,000 for pain and suffering. What's been the worst part of this?
To be honest, I think that $250,000 is taking it easy. The worst part has been being covered in human excrement with my pants at my ankles. It was the most mortifying moment of my entire life.
Mr. James, you mentioned hepatitis A. To understand this disease, this court has consulted Dr. Asma Khalid. Sheriff, will you get Dr. Khalid?
Yes, Your Honor.
Hello, doctor. Will you please explain the nature of the disease that Mr. James contracted in this accident?
Hepatitis A is a virus that's highly contagious. It's usually spread person to person, fecal oral route, such as changing dirty diapers or handling contaminated foods. So the liver is located in the upper right quadrant of your abdomen. It's essentially a huge filtration system that takes blood from your body and filters it through the hepatocytes, which are liver cells. Blood passes through, takes foods and nutrients as well as toxins or bacteria and virus. Now, the hepatitis A virus passes through the blood, filters through the hepatocytes, but once it's inside the hepatocytes, it infects the liver cells and causes them to become inflamed. They obviously don't handle that very well, and you develop some scar tissue, causing the whole liver to become inflamed and enlarged.
So why does your skin get yellow?
It's basically called jaundice.
Okay.
And just like, a newborn has jaundice, and the hepatocytes release a chemical, and it basically spreads through your blood, causing your skin to turn yellow.
Doctor, thank you. You are released.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I can say with 100% confidence that Miss Sutton is 100% responsible for what happened to me.
Mr. James, how do you know that one of Miss Sutton's employees hit this portable toilet?
Your Honor, I have a diagram to explain how the incident occurred in the parking lot.
All right, well, let's put your diagram up on the plasma. You submitted that to the court. Why don't you go over and show me how you think this happened?
Upon entering the portable toilet, that these two trucks were placed right here before entering. As I did, I heard this truck fire up and then immediately begin to reverse back towards me.
How'd you know it was in reverse?
Circumstantial evidence,
The beep,
Your
and I could
Honor.
tell it was getting close to me, Your Honor.
This is hearsay.
It got louder and louder.
So that backup beep got closer to you?
Correct.
All right.
And it was before I could even put it together that all of a sudden, it hit this portable toilet, knocked it on its back, in which then I slammed into the ground following it.
This is
and
all
immediately was
circumstantial.
covered. Immediately was covered with human
He
excrement.
has absolutely no proof that it was one of my trucks or a truck at all.
Now, hold on for a minute. These trucks weren't concert goers, right?
No.
They were production.
This wasn't a truckers' convention.
My production trucks were parked out in front, but towards closing, they began to leave.
So I kicked my way out, almost like my own coffin, Your Honor, covered in this waste, managed to pull my pants up and realized the truck was completely gone off the premises.
Now, for the record, Miss Sutton, all 6 of these trucks that were on that diagram are your production trucks, right?
Correct.
Driven by your employees, correct?
Correct. For all 20 years, we've been doing this and never had an issue. That's hearsay. You cannot have him have that photo in there. He has no idea that was one of our trucks.
I'm confident, Your Honor. Like I said, I distinctly remember 2 trucks being placed in front of the portable toilets. As I exited it, there was only one.
You can return to the podium. You keep throwing around the term circumstantial evidence.
Yes, because he's giving us evidence that he says, I know for a fact, without a fact.
Well, let me tell you about evidence. In a courtroom, there are really 2 kinds of evidence. There's direct evidence and then circumstantial evidence. A lot of people make the mistake of thinking that circumstantial evidence is of a weaker, less reliable source. It is not. Circumstantial evidence is direct evidence that indicates a certain fact. For example, if a person walks through the snow and you see them walk through the snow, you can testify, I saw someone walk through the snow. That's direct evidence. However, if you go to that same snow and you see my size 13 footprints all the way up to my motorcycle and I'm sitting on the motorcycle, that's circumstantial evidence that I walked through the snow. They are of equal value.
There's no proof that I did. We have a natural barrier of our trucks placed out so no accidents like this would happen.
There was no natural barrier. There was no verbal, no sign warning me of any danger using these.
Park in front of the portable toilets to act as a shield, preventing anything to interfere with them.
I was covered in literal human because of her, Your Honor. Human waste and this blue chemical.
Be careful about your language. I understand what you're covered with, but we got to call it a different name. Folks, I think I've heard what I need to hear. I'm ready to render my decision. When I was a young lawyer, I used to think that lawsuits were simple, particularly personal injury lawsuits, because all the plaintiff has to prove is that someone did something wrong. That is, you'd have to prove Ms. Sutton did something wrong, or one of her employees, and that their wrong caused your injury. Hardly ever does it turn out to be simple in the many cases I presided over. But this one is simple. You're responsible for your employees' actions under a doctrine called respondeat superior. It simply means that the master must answer for the actions of the servant. Here, if your driver backed into that portable toilet, you pay the bill. Let's look at the evidence. We don't have direct evidence of who backed into this portable toilet, but the circumstantial evidence is this. While you're sitting in this portable toilet, you hear a truck engine fire up.
Correct.
That's a very distinct sound. You then hear the beeping, the reverse safety signal of the truck backing up, and it's getting closer to you. And your portable toilet flips over, and so does your life. That circumstantial evidence is superior weight of who backed into this portable toilet. I am convinced it was one of your employees that backed into this toilet. And because of that, I find in your favor, and I'm going to give you everything that you asked for. I'm awarding you $10,000 for your past medicals, $5,000 for your future medicals, $20,000 for your lost wages, and $250,000 for your pain and suffering, for a total award for you and against the defendant for $285,000. That's my final award, and this matter is adjourned.
Thank you, Your Honor.